All right, everybody, welcome to TA Tuesday here at Leading Crypto. I am CVO Crypto with the most ginger beard on the stream today, rocking a collar for once. We've got Magic Internet Money in the light cave over there, and then Scarface has actually joined us today for a one-off guest appearance here. So we're going to be taking a dive into the markets. It is a new year for the entire market as a whole now. The markets. We're not open altogether yesterday, but they are all back with a great force and a vengeance today. So we're going to take a look and see how things are looking. Of course, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, potentially Solana here as well, DXY, SPX, some order flow, some open interest. So if all that sounds interesting and great to you, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and stick through to the end of the video. We jump right into it. So I'm just going to hand it right over to the Bat Cave over there and get started with Bitcoin.
I should have wore my Batman shirt then.
But
I got this. I wore orange to match the background and the sign. So hopefully you guys, you missed the piggy bank. I know you did. So
I did.
Yeah, the piggy bank is OG as it gets. So yeah, let's hop into the charts. I think we'll start with SPX because traditional markets were closed yesterday. And that we won't spend much time on it, but that bleeds into Bitcoin. So you guys know how that is. SPX, right? We've been talking about essentially this box right here to the upside. I know I keep changing the colors on you guys, but this is resistance still. And this is comprised of like the 2022 quarter one low. You've got a couple pivots in there. Overall, it's just your local high. And if you were to look at this in terms of a regression, you can see that also gets you back above your trend here. So until this happens, it's hard to be too macro bullish after you've come up to this region of resistance, right? So 2022 did leave behind an NPOC up here as well, around 39.63. So could you fill that in? Potentially, yes. And you are at support where we were. This was going to be support because if you went over to, if you recall, our shark, we were looking for the 0.5 here to find support because that's the technical first target of this pattern is going to be the 50%, which happens to line up where? For anyone that trades with us and understands how I like to do harmonics, there's your B leg, there is your support, right? So you've got good support here. And then we just start basically pulling in all the other data that we can. You can see that, again, quarter four low is here, right? You can go to the 6-month chart. You can start really making this messy. And that's what we're going to do, just to revisit. So you've got support here. Really don't want to be giving up essentially this 50% mark. So I would think at that time, you're probably going to come down, take these lows and challenge into the 2021 low. And I don't think that's a death sentence by any means, but you start breaking down from here and you're going to make a new low. And as I put it to the gentleman in the live stream yesterday, you do have the potential for a even more fun pattern. You can see that you've got a parallel channel that's forming here, very well respected. So I'm very happy with the EQ here. I'm gonna get rid of this. And this is really dubious. So this doesn't have to necessarily play out, but a lot of people are gonna be drawing this channel from the highs here because, you have I call it the meme line, the trend line. And I made the joke that you only needed one trend line to trade the stock market on Debate Crypto. It's funny, somebody in the chat goes, that's a lie. And I'm like, no, this is what I'm referring to. Lower high. And if you were looking for longs here, you really should have been looking for shorts because you're in a down market. So now we can look at this and say, okay, we have a new trend that's starting to flatten out a little bit. Are we going to see a reversal? You've got your 2020 POC down here, or NPOC in this case, if you guys recall. So this is a naked point of control from the year 2020. It is untapped. Pull it up right here so you can see it. And you can see that if we were to lose this box right here formally, you're back inside the range. Natural target is going to be what? The point of control. And then anything below that, you do have the opportunity to really kind of start looking for the val, but also you have like a macro gold pocket here and the overall key level in terms of pivots from I think it was 2021. You have a pivot that's untapped here, if I recall. Yeah, right there. So that's why this box becomes relevant. But this is the technical setup if we were to get a move down. So I would just keep an eye on the range that we're in right now. It's good to have plans for both sides of the coin, or I guess what's lack of a better term is coin for the SPX because it's a crypto term. But yeah, you want to know the possibilities of both. And I think the best opportunity if you're trading here is going to be a lot of sideways scalping opportunities. So short-term moves. I'm not really looking for swings in this region because you are kind of in the middle of the range. You can see this is a range upon itself. So diddling in the middle oftentimes gets you chopped alive, right? So you want to take trades from here. You want to take trades from here until this range resolves either to the upside or downside. If we resolve to the downside, I've already given you the two major targets, but also a technical setup there, which is really great. But if you were to resolve this to the upside, it's actually, a pretty simple move up, and you're essentially just targeting these highs right here. This would be the area I'd be interested in, right around 4,300. So I would say early signs of that are going to be right around 4,000, like 59, give or take. And then I do believe that's also your overall gold pocket from high to low. So that's why I would be interested in this. Looking for the SFP of this high, that would be the play, in my opinion. That's only if you can break through this zone of resistance. And if you do so, then yeah, we've got some things to talk about. But until that happens, range bound here, still remaining pretty neutral. Understand the risk to the downside and the upside, and also understand where you should be getting involved in this asset and what the purpose of that trade is. Maybe you have a differing opinion and you think this is a great swing trade. By all means, take the swing. If you think that it's just not worth your time, don't take the trade. It's that simple. You got to do what works for you. So that said, we're going to jump into Bitcoin here. Bitcoin is actually a really simple chart. I'm going to go to this one because I have a little bit cleaner chart on this folder. I've been working through and kind of trying to clean things up a little bit. So, I'm going to do a year in review. And one of the big things from Q1 that I did for you guys was I showed you how to time this range. Some things that we got correct were going to be that we were looking for an overall range, and that video is still up on my TikTok. And what I had said was, as we were coming into here, is that I was looking for an overall larger range as of the January 8th. And that was actually a macro time pivot for us on the BLX. And I'll pull that up over here because that's actually a separate chart. I'll show you guys what I was talking about. At least maybe I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Maybe, I believe it's the Gen 1. Right here. So this was our macro time pivot we were looking for here. And from there, we were looking for this to start the distribution phase. It used to be a pinned tweet on my profile, actually. From this time frame, distribution phase has begun. And you can see that this is all distribution at this point. However, what I had said, and this is where I say we got some of it right and some of it wrong, was I had said that you've got potential distribution here, but we can't make that assumption until the range is broken. So we have to assume that this is an uptrend until the uptrend dies. Just like when we came back into the range, our target was down here at the July NPOC around 33K, give or take. So we knew we were coming back to the low side of the range. The question was, what was this bounce going to give us? And this was the blind short, essentially, we were looking for off the yearly pivot. And then down it goes, and once we started breaking down, and, you could probably go to the weekly chart and I could show you exactly where breaking down kind of started happening. It's about right here. You could just easily say this level or this level, right? And you can go back and look now and you can see this is where, you start breaking down, you back test it, et cetera, et cetera. Go back to the daily now and you can see it's a little, less clear because you do deviate a little bit here on the daily right here specifically, right? So when you're timing in this range, all I had done was there was a technical pattern, a 3 drives pattern that took us to here to tell us that we were coming down to these lows. And then we were looking for $58,000 to the high side, or I was anyway. We didn't have this group back then, but 58,822 was or 882 was the level. And what would the timeline look like for that if we were going to achieve that? And so for me, I was working off of a sine line, which is something we don't use a lot of. And I'm essentially just taking the overall low from that first section of price, and then I'm just projecting out price from here, right? So we can do something very, very similar to price now. And let's use this one. There we go. And you can see how things are getting, right? So there's your 1-to-1 looking for the low, right? And you can see you're making your low. It's not perfect, but it's actually very well respected. Even to the upside, you can see it respects it from price. So you're seeing time and price intertwine a little bit here. You don't catch the exact high with this move, but pretty good. And down you go, and you're looking for reversal right here. And if you recall, I was looking for, I think, January 26th to February 8th, because that's this 1-to-1. And the reversal actually took place on the 24th, the absolute low. So I was off by about 2 days on my window. But right here, as we got that test into that key region, you broke down, back tested your time and price wave, and down you go. So if you were looking for this to continue to the upside, this would have been the trajectory you're going with. Now we can do the same exact thing with where we are now, right? So we can now take this and we can we could say, all right, I'm interested in knowing what the first section of price would look like for this. And so we would come over to here to, oh, what is it? Actually, technically, this is the high of that price. This is the low for that. And we could then take it and come down to, was that 25 to 11 is the high. So we now have a new range high. And we can just adjust this and we can start forecasting the move, right? And you can see you broke your time and price, and basically this becomes null and void. You've now just back tested it. Can we do this again? You absolutely can. You can do the exact same thing all over again. We can come down to here. And this is kind of a fun tool that I don't show too many people because it just leads to way too much tinkering, in my opinion. But you can see already you're breaking through this thing right here. It's not ideal. If you were to choose the high here to say, okay, well, I think that this is the appropriate high to use, you could change it. Say, if we're going to get a pump, this is what it's going to look like back to the upside. And you can see that you're trying to ride out this support right here with the 2023 open. So you have great confluence just from an overall trajectory standpoint that if you're going to see the lows of the range, this area of the chart has to hold as support, and that bleeds into the low time frames at that time. So you come over to, the Bitcoin chart now, and we take a look at 16,611, which has been the key level for us for quite some time. This is going to be the arena that we need to hang on to. I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff on here, like the previous day levels, right? And so you can see how well respected this level was. Like even right here on this pump, all the way above the level, back below, resistance, resistance, and again over here, resistance, resistance, support. And now we've come back to it as support again. And if we break through this, you're going to see the Asia NPOC here in that 2023 open specifically, right? So that's what I'd be watching is the 16,500 region. This is the area of the chart you want to hold. Otherwise, you are just targeting your next local lows here at like 16.2. You'd want to see this holding a swing fail of these two lows as neither one was taken, right? So I'll go ahead and highlight those real quick. But breaking that time and price loop that we were just talking about, I believe I have it here. Breaking this and breaking down does not really give the best vibes, in my opinion, just so you guys know. So breaking through this and not getting a swing failure pattern of these levels, it really does make me think that that push to the 886 on the shark and this daily level down here is going to be the play. And that puts you below your volume range as well, and just doesn't look great, in my opinion. At that point, you start thinking, is this range going to expand to the downside, or do I get to play the range some more and continue consolidating? So really keep an eye on the 2023 open. And if you're looking at this in terms of how do I know how to set up my ranges, I did this for the group, so I'll go ahead and do it for you guys as well. You guys know that I really like to use harmonics to find how to do, your support and resistances. Where are the pivot points in the market? And if you recall, this is the harmonic we were working off of. Okay, so we're working off of this shark. This is something that we had planned out almost a couple weeks in advance. You got your swing fail right here of the X pivot, and then you've got D right here. So now we can start marking off our pivots and saying, okay, and then this is the body of the 4 hour here, which very well respected. And we've got these levels here, right? So we're now getting pretty simple. We're just marking these out, and now I'm going to go through and just mark them off. Very, very simple, right? So now we've got this, and let's go ahead and we'll do that color because I think that's a sell color, because right now this is resistance. Same here, and this is going to be support, right? Let's make this extended. You guys probably hear my neighbor's truck getting started up. It's loud as fuck. But yeah, this is how you would write everything up in terms of a range now without doing much else work. It was a very, very simple way to do it. You got to claim these levels right here, 17,174. Go out to the weekly time frame. What have we been talking about at 17,174 and 16,611, right? So right here, this is the level we wanted to hold. That's how we found that level. It's just a breaker setup. It's the same one I've been shilling you guys for the better part of a week. Get through this, we go to the next box. It's that simple, box to box, guys. So if we're looking for longs here, do we want to be taking longs in the middle of our potential range here? You have intraday longs you could take, but I would really advise you guys to be patient. Everyone asks me if I'm in any other positions outside of that swing short from last year. No, I'm not, because I'm looking for a good setup and I just haven't found it yet. So for me, I am being a little more patient. I want to see if we come down to these levels here at that 15,770 to 15,437 level. If we take these lows, if we find support here, this is the place I want to look for longs potentially. I would never preset for that. And just like I would be looking for shorts up in this region or at resistance here, you could start looking for, some intraday shorts, which I did take some. So that's really all there is to it. You've got to get through about 17,174. That also puts you back above 16,800 for anyone that's wondering. That is or was the overall point of control at one time. You can see this high volume node right here has been overtaken, but this is still a very relevant point in the chart, is that 16,800. But I would feel much more comfortable if we're through this resistance right here where you're actually seeing supply enter. You can see the wicks. This is going to be the area you've got to get back above. And it does get you above this local price action right here. And you can make that move to the high side. So it will be interesting to see what we do. You can see the overall point of control of the range also does coincide with that 2023 open, the level we've been saying, got to have that level, got to hang on to it, right, with that Asia NPOC. And if so, things are good. But if it loses this level, I'm looking to take these lows probably and then see if we're going to come down to this box, right? So that's really it, being pretty neutral here. If a day trade presents itself, I definitely won't hesitate to take it. Just kind of, rolling with it right now. You guys need to be malleable, for lack of a better term, or a little more flexible, given what type of a market we're trading right now. So that's all I've got on the SPX and Bitcoin. I can turn it over to Maxwell. He might actually have something to talk about here.
You do indeed. I'll get my screen up. Let's flick over to this one. So following Magic's advice yesterday that obviously how to trade market structure and what he went over was it was a bit of like a wake-up call for when you're getting such slow PR. I found a bit of a wake-up call for myself to try and take more trades and not be so gutted when they don't really go too far. But today's been pretty decent going on from that. I posted in the group 2 of the trades that you could have taken just this morning. And then later on today, we've literally just had a absolutely banging SFP. So if we look here, this is the high that I'm marking out. It is this one here. So you've put in about a few hours between the highs. You came up. And if I get rid of the 4 million open interest here, it kind of shows you that in the time, you could really see considerable buyers coming into the market. Let me zoom in a little bit more and slide it over. I need to hide, CVO on bull, hide in my face. You can see here, you've got a 300K, 728K, and then another 300K. And this one here is arguably positioned to change hands. The little wick below it might make a difference, might change that. But looking at it, 12K on a 1.2 million candle with positive delta of 312,000. There's definitely some positions changing hands there. So you've got a move up, buyers coming in, and when you get this, when you get the buyers coming in a move, it does look good until they're put underwater. Now, what did you have? Well, as soon as you came above the high, you had them traders come in. You can see where they are in the charts. Thanks to the footprint chart, you can literally identify, 720K there, 370K buyers there. You can identify these buyers in the charts. And then when price gets below there, they become trap traders. And that's one of the key things. We can put me back on the screen now. I don't know how we do that. That's one of the key things that you need when trading at SFP with order flow. Trap traders is like one of the key things. It's trap traders or positions changing hands. And in this time we had trap traders. And then we come down to where we are now. And then there was arguably another SFP. Now I haven't taken this one. I did take this one. It was pretty sweet. Still in it because, well, I'm going to hold it until we get back above the VWAP. And the reason for that is you can see here, so I've marked out this low just so you guys can spot this one here. So it was an SFP. And again, what did you have down here? Well, if we look at the footprint, and I do this, you can see, I'm just going to move it up. You had a ton of aggressive market shorts come into the market. How do we know that market shorts coming into the market? Well, the open interest was increasing. That's a 4 million positive increase, negative delta of 7.4 million. That is a huge sum of people selling, and if that's 5.6 million in, what is this? This is 20 ticks. This is a $10 box here. Someone is sat there as not as there's 5.6 million shorts there, market shorts. There's also 5.6 million, a big long sat there building, and you can spot in this whole little candle there is a considerable amount of positions, aggressive shorts in an area where you wouldn't really be shorting. So where can we look to take a trade off that? Well, if you get above the VWAP, really, in my opinion, you're looking for that weekly level that's above us. But you can't really jump the gun here. They're not trap traders yet. It made an attempt, but failed. Coming down, it has just SFP'd it again. But ultimately, I'd really like it to come down to, if it's going to be really nice, come down to this golden pocket, which I know is just above the yearly open level, which Magic just mentioned is key. I think you've also got, where is it? Yeah, which is also an untapped daily level. Sorry, I just had to check another chart then, which is an untapped daily level. So you've got a gold pocket just above, which would be nice. And then the year open, which is an untapped daily level. So you've got two things there.
I have a session naked point of control there as well at 16,560.
16,560. So just below that gold pocket.
Yeah,
then. So
the Asia. Yeah, I've got it marked. That's an area for sure.
And you'd be closing out this hourly PVA, which for the guys that are in the group that have watched the PVA videos, they know the statistics on how often they close. Now that is the only hourly close, hourly one, in the region that would be of any significance. So, it can expect that to be closed, can expect this golden pocket to be tapped. There's no reason to take a long off this SFP when, you've failed to really reclaim any ground, especially when you're in a short already. Unless you see significant things, changes, no point swapping that position around. So heavy shorting into the level, which is good if you're in a short from higher, but I wouldn't definitely not be shorting it. But yeah, I'm expecting it to come down here. But it's been very, the last half an hour or so has been pretty lush to trade. Finally bringing some volume back into the charts and giving us something to talk about. But let me just check this, see if we've got anything here. TPO, point of control down there. And that's 2 hourly, which you don't need. But yeah, that's pretty much me all done. It's claim the VWAP. I'll do a quick summary. Claim the VWAP. I expect us to go and tap that untapped weekly level. But right now, expecting it to come just a little bit lower. Definitely not a place to be taking shorts. You're now getting liquidations, which are always, if you guys remember what we were saying last week, there are little signals that maybe you want to take along, but you have to wait for a setup to come to you. You can't just see a red dot and think buy. It's not the way. You have to wait for a setup, and the setup is just below us. That session point of control, gold pocket, and that daily untap. So yeah, waiting for these levels. See if I can flip that position. But yeah, it's been good. Yes, sorry, Magic just put in the group. If I had Market Cipher, I would be buying those dots. But yeah, he is correct. You'd be selling the red ones. So yeah, you've come to Market Cipher and you're using EXO. Don't be shorting the red dots. They're not the ones.
I think they do blood diamonds or something like that. But I don't know. Not for me. Not my cup of tea.
Your secret weapon, mate.
Well, that and the astrology.
Oh,
sure.
Of course.
Yeah, astrology.
I think that's what Magic actually uses, man. He's probably got Market Cipher up in the background.
So I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm actually dating Marin Altman. No, I'm kidding.
She gives him all the inside scoop.
I get all my my trade signals from my dog and from a borderline Wiccan. So it's worked out well.
Dope.
Very good to take over, CVO.
Yeah, man. Let's take a look at the old Bart Simpson pattern here on Ethereum. So taking a look at Ether, my patented saying, when you're looking at this, looking back now, you can kind of see we got those nice little wicks up at the highs, a couple areas that we've been looking for quite a bit here. But, without the TA on here, it just kind of looks, a little flat, right? It's like, what are we really looking at here? How could we have traded this? What are we going to look for next? Well, kind of going over what Max just kind of talked about. It's Ethereum's got a similar situation here, right? So all I've got on here right now is daily open and weekly open, right? So we obviously just shot right through the daily open. You have our weekly open just below. But what did we end up doing right here, right? So if we take a look, you got a daily pivot, right, that we just kind of back tested. You lost that and back tested it right here, right? So you lose that, come up, get the back test. Essentially, that's not great, right? So you're looking down from there. For me, I'd be looking at least back probably to the weekly open, right? So that's one way to look at this for now. What also did we do right here? Well, we have our previous day range, right? So we just fell out of that. Bouncing pretty nicely right off the point of control, right? Just nuked straight through, got the back test as well. Obviously, daily key level right there, daily pivot. So once again, from here, potentially, targeting a little bit lower here, right? So we do have the weekly open down here at, like I said, 1200. Got previous day low actually comes all the way down at 1193. Right. So just some areas to be kind of aware of to the downside. As far as upside at the moment, you'd really want to come back up, start living back above 1210. And realistically, the daily open, that's our upside, switcheroo, suppose, in a sense. Get above that region, potentially you're going to get the move higher. Aside from that, looking for a little bit lower, similar to how Bitcoin has that golden pocket down below. We have a very similar situation also, right? So you got a nice little gold pocket comes in right here about 1196, 1197, just below the weekly open. All right. And, what also that aligns with, very similar to Bitcoin, how magical is your yearly open right here as well. So, we kind of just shot up out of this in the beginning. It's only been a few days, obviously, but this is still a really relevant area to be paying attention for. Coming back for a back test potentially is down here right in that region. So another thing that, to note is, once again, you lost your previous day range here, right? And looking at this in our previous week, what are we doing? Well, we're coming down and we're kind of, just testing right into last week, right? So we got our high does come in right here about 1209. So so far we've just kind of wicked in a few times. So potentially, we do have, some buys coming in here, could push it back up, potentially the daily open, get a back test and come lower. But if you start living back within this range, which is just below us, 1209, 1208, I would anticipate a decent little move here. And I say decent, it's only like a 1% move, right? So it's just something to kind of be aware of for today. But you do have that gold pocket, which is also that yearly open, which also does align with our previous week point of control. So good amount of confluence, in this region. Similar to what Max said, I wouldn't be shorting here. Shorting from the daily open, daily pivot, something of that nature would have been the area to kind of take the short from. At this point, you really want to be looking for, potential longs, when we come down to this area, see how things react. Let's see, zoom that back out. And from here, right, we got a couple of things also to look at as well. So where we kind of like knock our head at here, well, we did have we got a high time frame range, right? We got our point of control that just got locked in for last quarter, right? So you kind of see how we've just been kind of banging our head up against this for the last few days, all the wicks straight through 4-hour time frame, and not getting above. So, in the sense of looking at this a little bit, more than just a small short-term day trade, things of that nature, you'd really want to start living above 1220, 1217, 1220 in that region to start looking upward and onward. Like I said, that starts at the daily open right here at 1213. And you start climbing above here, start closing some decent candles. This is the 4-hour time frame now, and you can just see it's been wick city. So getting above that region would be an ideal area. Coming down to that gold pocket / that yearly open, I think it was 11. We'll just throw that back up. Yeah, right down here, 1196. Could potentially offer up a move like that. You just be putting in your low, high, higher low, higher high, potentially a higher low, and then we'd see if we can kind of continue onward and upward from there. Otherwise, I've started losing these regions. We still have a lot of our areas down below us, right? So take that off there. And we still have a couple of daily levels. We've got one actually now just above us, which is 1227. So kind of, in agreement and confluence with the point of control from our higher time frame, gives you a couple more little areas to kind of just really watch for. This would essentially come through and you'd be living above the recent highs. But that is up at 1227. Down below us, we do have the one still at 1167. So if we were to come and make our way down to this region, you'd be effectively taking out a lot of stops, dating all the way back to Christmas week. So not a ton of time, but there is that, just below us there. We do have an untapped daily as well down at 1106, and then the main Mac Daddy that I've been looking for, down at 1038. So those would be, our downward areas that you'd be looking for over time if we start to lose some levels here. Let's take that off. We got a couple of weeklies as well. 1142 is actually an interesting one that to note here, because this does actually come just below all these lows right here. So in a short-term bounce idea, if we were really start making our way down to the downside and coming down 1141, potentially a nice little bounce opportunity here. Once again, you'd be just coming through and clearing the roster. This would take us all the way back down to Monday, 28th of November's lows, right? So definitely an area to kind of keep on your chart, stay alert with. But otherwise, yeah, short term, really looking to see if we get a bounce off that 1196. Like I said, that's yearly open. Previous week point of control. You've got gold pocket there as well. So I mean, it's good amount of little bounce territory, and then see if we can still continue this onward and upward just a bit. If we do see this move kind of continue to unfold for ETH to the upside, taking a look back at last month when we ran up to our monthly level here at 1350, right? This was where we were targeting as we actually came into December. So we were looking at this on like December 1st as a really major pivotal area in the chart. This was also coming in right at our previous high from November 10th. Slightly pushed past it like $1 or $2, and then obviously got the move down. Similar to that, now we have another high time frame average for this month. It does come in right here at 1232. So once again, lines up with that untapped. I believe that's the weekly or the daily. I was just looking at 1227 area. So gives you a little bit of good amount of things coming up in above us here, right, as far as resistance. So just kind of how Magic was stating, if you really want to start seeing some upside, we really got to clear this area right here, right? So get above all these wicks. For me, it'd be really claiming the monthly level here at 1232. Start living above that, holding above that. Obviously, you'd be, putting in a nice little uptrend potentially here. We'd be making our way up. From there, challenging back up into these highs, that would be the next area. And then you'd really want to kind of reevaluate once we get there. So, yeah, as far as ETH goes, that's the idea is still pretty much at hand is, we're really, really tightly bound within this region. We've got some small short-term areas to kind of look to and look for. There's always a trade available. If you're looking for the more mid to long-term swings, you want to look for things more along the lows of the range and things like, potentially this untapped weekly down here at 1142. You're probably not wanting to get involved in the middle of the area. So, such as this for potentially only a move up to this region and then get a, drop down. But yeah, I still feel I'm still leaning. Doesn't matter what I feel, I guess, but still leaning at over time. We come down, we do take the overall lows here. Potentially not this one from June, but all of these, right? So this is, June, July. This was November and November here as well. So these areas right here, would be, as Max say, it would be lush, I guess, to come down and actually take through these and then see if we get a nice, decent reversal out of that. So yet to be seen. So really just trade, whatever we have in front of us. And for now, it really does come down to potentially looking down to the gold pocket, right? That 1196. Do have the $1,200 weekly open. And then aside from that, as far as upside would go, reclaiming daily open in the short term from where we are right this second. And then otherwise, any more upside, we really want to get it above 1232. One area to really kind of keep an eye on as well, if you start clearing through this, the next major target for me, even though it would be interesting to see the full-on higher time frame range kind of rotated, right? Which we have. Let's see here, right here. So our overall range here, right, that we have in play, obviously we've met the low. The weekly is very interesting to me because it does allow for a potential deviation, right? So when looking at this, you see how we, just kind of took this, bounced, we really, hitting our head on the point of control. To see this actually come back down and hit this weekly, now you'd effectively take the lows, take the lows, take the lows, deviate the range just a bit. Once again, this is where you want to be looking for longs. Seeing something potentially like this, a reclaim of the weekly, that could be an entry trigger there. Otherwise, you'd want to see the range reclaimed up here to 1159. Once again, potential idea here if we get it. And then from there, if we see this whole range rotated to the upside, you can see how the value area high actually comes in just above these highs, which would be interesting. Because one thing I wanted more than, maybe I should have, was to see a little bit more push past these highs over here. And like I said, you did get it, but it was so slim. It was like $1, maybe even not that. So whether or not this idea kind of comes to fruition, right, and you get an actual just range rotation, come through, meet the highs, actually take all these highs here, and then actually make a move down lower and just kind of really wreck everybody's day, which, Max made a really good example of this. Right now, this market is desperate for liquidity. And I kind of hate the term like liquidity grabs and this and that, but I mean, it's when you look at the way the market's been moving, I mean, that's exactly what it's been doing, day in and day out at this point. You're just building up, the market sideways. Everybody's putting in their positions, and you're just wiping them both out. Build it up again, you wipe them both out. So potentially, I mean, we have a recipe here where we could do something similar and coming up to this region. The only thing I'd be aware of is that, you could front run these highs here. Once again, you do have a quarterly level now, which does come into play right here at 1327, right? So it's effectively just below these areas. This is a big one for me because not only is that a quarterly level, it's also a quarterly pivot as well, which is right at the same area. So we've spent a lot of time in this region over the last 3 months, right? So it's right, the quarterly is just a little bit below that. So 1316, 1327 in that region could potentially offer up a decent area, decent opportunity as well. So it's really just a little staircase of levels, right? And it really does come down to level by level at the moment. The bigger ideas and picture is that, potentially we can come down and meet that overall untapped daily and, see that sub $1,000 ETH again, but, short term. Otherwise, there's just you trading the range. It really is what it is. We're just trading the range until it breaks, and that's where we're at. So, yeah. So, and then if, all else, if we just blow past this and start clearing through 1360, I mean, then it's clear skies ahead, I suppose, onward and upward. And then I'd be looking to potentially challenge up into, we actually got a quarterly up here at like 14 change. I think there's a gold pocket up here also. Yeah. So, I mean, this would probably be our next little region up in this area, but, yeah, I mean, it's really is just kind of strategizing at the moment because we could very well just range it out. Like I said, wipe out the highs, wipe out the lows, and then, make a move from there. So take a look at Solana real quick too, because Solana's been, making some headway, and boom, just hit another target of ours. So I just put this in the group on the other day. So we were looking for one thing, and that was basically a claim of $9.99. So we came down, bopped right off of the value area low right here, right? That's $8.04. We were looking for the reclaim of $9.99. Got that right here. And from there, we've just been making our way upwards and onwards towards a slew of statistical targets here, right? So Solana is one that was beat down pretty good. And at this point, we're just kind of coming up. This is definitely not a coin or a time where I'd be getting into it at this moment because it has now really rallied substantially over the last few days. It's getting a little overbought in that sense and coming up on some pretty big marks. So you got the point of control. just above it at 1360. We've got a local golden pocket coming in right at the highs right here, right? So you got this kind of coming in. So potentially we could see this push up to this region. For me, I'd be looking for the daily to get claimed for any more upside short term. Or, I guess, this is the thing, this is a diddle in the middle situation. So I'd be looking for a pullback first out of this than anything, right? So you got potentially a point of control over here, 1366. This is talk for anybody that's already in Solana. Once again, I really wouldn't be entering at this point. In the short term, you're just really running the risk of getting, eating the pullback, right? So this is something that in the last few days, 65%. So yes, it's down a shit ton, but this is, what it is. And this is how, you can regain some of your losses is by capitalizing on the moves, not getting in them as it's pumping, cashing out, buying back in lower, so on and so forth. So the 999 move, even if we didn't catch the exact low, that was the play, right? So this untapped weekly now down here, obviously these have all been tapped. Now I can go ahead and change these, but originally these were untapped. Right, so now that's kind of gone. Got this one gone, right? This one, however, is still in a horizontal level that is untapped at the moment. So I bring that up because if we do push up, into that point of control, or even where we are, look where that gold pocket lines up with. This to me would be, if you're going to be gunning for a new entry or potential short-term play, I'd look to see if we get a pullback to this region, right? So once again, you got a nice Fibonacci confluence with a major horizontal high time frame area. That's what I'd be looking for, and that is back to 999. So do we blow straight through this? Potentially, and then we can kind of reevaluate. We start claiming some of these areas, but I wouldn't jump into this quite yet. This is on the 4-hour time frame. Got 82 on the old RSI for any RSI junkie. It's just not smart. Also, you're coming into major resistances just above, right? So even though you could push up another 10-12%, if you're in like a spot market, I guess, you got a little bit less risk, but I definitely wouldn't be making a short-term trade on this personally, even in spot, honestly. I'd just wait to see if we pull back. 65% move is just too much for me right now in the short term, I guess. So let's see here. Doge is another one looking pretty interesting here, right? So updated this one the other day for the group as well. Area to claim was this daily, which we are effectively doing that now. So it'd be interesting to see if we can hold this. But this is the region I was looking for. It's at 0.0708. From here, looking to challenge up into this weekly over time. We got the monthly level here coming in at about 8. It's like 15-20% away, point of control. And then we got a couple of other targets after that. But for now, we are getting a nice little claim here, right? So if you can kind of zoom in here, you can see how we're getting that back test right now on a 4-hour time frame, 15-minute, obviously. Get that zoom in, and you've seen it really nicely right here. So potential opportunity here on Doge, nice little stop loss just below, essentially. And then some major targets in the short term I'd be looking for is about this 7.7 cents, 8.2 cents. And while those sound pretty small, this is a 9% move, 18% move, and then 24% move up to the point of control. So yeah, so definitely some opportunities to be had across the board. Obviously Doge and some of the altcoins are a little bit of a risk, as Bitcoin and Ethereum, if they start pulling back, they start getting hit a little bit harder. But that's what we're looking at there. So Litecoin has still just been straight range bound, right? Within this range we've been looking at for a long time. This is actually from earlier this year. Range high comes into play, right? Deviated just a bit. Basically, you got the SFP. Where we go? Right back to the gold pocket, 3-month level. Got the bounce back to the range high. So I mean, realistically for me, Litecoin, really has to come through and start living back above this area, take out the highs, and then you kind of move from there. But the whole market gets a little bounce. I would imagine Litecoin gets a little juice as well. But this is also something that's really, kind of had its move over the last few weeks here, quite substantially here too. So you had a nice little bounce here, 30% for a large cap, right, where you didn't see that out of many other coins. So just do keep that in mind. This could pull back once again. If we could do a little local golden pocket, I would imagine that daily lines up, give or take. so just below. So maybe we come back down to the $6-7 area. But yeah, that's about all I've got for everybody. So really just looking forward to continually updating these charts. We got a lot of new information, which is nice. Getting a little bit of movement here. So hope to see continuation with the markets, getting some volatility as we go. I'm sure we will have some fun this year compared to the last few weeks. Let's see if there's any questions. I see some people talking about drinking Coors. Oh, H-bar update. Let's take a look. Let's take a look for OC, the pet. All right. Let's see where we're getting some moves here from. So last thing we were looking for or looking at was this range here. Broke out of it, got the back test, right? Had our yearly key level here, losing that, and then targeting really this untapped monthly below. Taking a look at this really from like a higher time frame standpoint, even there's really not a ton aside from just this consolidation over here. I'm trying to get this all on the same screen. Here we go. So I mean, you got a lot of just meat sitting here, I guess you could call it, or support, resistance, and things from back all the way in like June of 2020. The most relevant like major area to me would be coming down to this monthly level. Short term, do we get a bounce and potentially get a back test of the yearly? That is definitely in the cards, right? It looks small, but that'd be a potential 10 to 15% move here. And then looking at this let's kind of update the range here, right? Because we do have some new data. All right, so I'm just going to clear this out and we'll scoot this around. Yeah, I mean, you're still really living outside even our latest range here. So in the short term, I'd really like to see, almost 2 cents get reclaimed, right? So come up and start living back above this region, and then targeting potentially, you can come all the way up here and honestly back test the range low and still actually get a move back down. So all you'd be doing is put in a consistent little, lower high scheme here. So it's definitely got opportunity for some potential upside short term, even just like a little local golden pocket, does potentially pull us back up to that region as well. So short term, 4.2 cents. After that, see if we can challenge it up to like 5.5. And after that, you'd really want to live back in this 5 to 6 cent, 5.7 cent range, and start pushing back up. But to see something very, like this, and you can already see a little, if you're going to go with a little trend line action, right? You can get your little, your long-term downtrend broken here. But for me, I would actually be looking more so for this re-entry here, because you could straight up do something like this, get the rejection here, and come down and actually meet this level later on. Definitely something to just kind of keep in mind. But yeah, I mean, getting back in 5.6 cents, that's the major change in my opinion. That'd be the determining factor where we could see the trend start to kind of turn around. Not to overlook, you got these areas here. So once again, you'd be missing out on a big move if you're just going to wait for that. It's like 35% away. So if you can manage this along the way, something to kind of just keep in the back of your mind. All right. That's all I got, boys and girls. Let's see here. 10 beer. Oh man, people are drinking 10 beers over here. I'm doing dry jam.
You just put a little orange juice in it when it's this early. It's called a lunchbox. It's like a morning beer.
I think it's called a shandy. Oh no, is that the shandy or is that the Sprite?
I don't know what it is. I think shandy's with lemonade.
Shandy is like Sprite or lemonade in your beer.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the lunchbox.
Yeah, we don't.
I'm gonna go have one of those
Lunchbox.
right now.
If you do like a light beer, you can throw a little orange juice in there. I personally, I guess it'd be like a Blue Moon at that point.
Would it be blue?
No, Blue Moon's a brand of beer here. I doubt you guys have it over there. I've seen it. Ironically, I think it's actually owned by Coors, so I think they're the ones who produce that at this point.
That's it. Awesome. Well, great update, guys. For anybody interested, by the way, today, Magic Internet Money and myself, we're going to be running some marathons on some other shows. So Magic is actually going to be on Sin City Crypto today at 2 p.m. Eastern. And I'll be on with Paul Barron Network at 1 p.m. Eastern. So you're going to get a big fill of us today. So be sure to tune into those two shows. Once again, Paul Barron Network at 1 p.m. Eastern for me, and then 2 p.m. Eastern for Magic on Sin City Crypto. Two great shows. Make sure to give them a follow. They hold a ton of great guests and have a ton of great value and add a lot of just really good insight and overview. And then enjoy a couple blue moons until then. So we got a couple hours.
Yeah, probably not for me anyway. I'm a
Just
lightweight, you know that. I'll need a nap.
That's true. Yeah, he'll miss the show. Awesome. Well, if anybody's interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord trading group, our information is down below in the information box. We do have our website, leadingcrypto.io, where you can join the Discord through that as well. Any questions, and things like that, you can always feel free to DM us in the Discord as well. Aside from that, we'll see everybody later on today on those additional shows on Sin City and Paul Barron, and then we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern for Hump Day TA. Till next time, everybody. Cheers.